Let's meet them. She's an attorney and America Rising PAC senior advisor. Alexander Wilkes is back, along with Fox News contributor and host of the Richard Fowler Show. Richard Fowler, normally fighting with Ned Ryan, but not tonight. He's here in the flesh. And from the Greg Gutfeld Show, where she serves as correspondent and National Review online reporter, it is Kat Timpf. Welcome, everyone. Thanks for having me. What a hump day. My goodness, it is Mueller Eve. This is a magical night for many in D.C. What can we expect for those who are expecting?
I think we can expect a lot of hot air coming out of Washington, D.C., because as you mentioned, everybody's going to have a take on this. But I think that the most important take was what the summary was that Attorney General Barr released from the beginning, which he said the top line conclusions, which there were no collusion and also no, charges brought on obstruction. And so I think that those were sort of the things that stuck, and everything else that's going to come back in this report is just going to be details to sort of fill it in. And I think it's going to kind of get lost in the ether a little bit.
And what are you most looking forward to in the report? Is it the areas of obstruction that Bob Mueller was sort of hung up on and really couldn't come to a conclusion of his own, even though as a prosecutor he's essentially charged with deciding whether or not to charge the president?
I'm actually interested in the entire report to see what it says. To see
Are you going to sit down and read the whole thing?
I probably will.
Wow.
I do read.
I'm going to say I did.
Yeah, exactly.
No, I actually read a lot of these things. I read executive orders. I read to see exactly what was. He's been 22 months investigating this, and so I want to see what's in it. I think what's very interesting is that you're going to have a press conference about a report that nobody's going to have seen yet. So I'm not really sure what the press is going to ask you when they haven't seen the report, so they haven't digested it yet. They're not really going to be able to ask any intelligent questions about the report because they haven't seen said report to ask questions.
Maybe it's like previews for Broadway shows. So, they're going to have a press conference, and if he gets any really hard questions, he can go back and redact a couple more things and then release it.
I honestly don't think that anyone needs to read it because nobody's really reading it to figure out what they think about it. 65% say it didn't change, as you mentioned. That doesn't surprise me at all. I think that people who are on the right are going to say, look, no collusion, no obstruction. People on the left are going to find something, anything, no matter how small it is, and focus on that and say that, oh, look, this was the wrong decision.
I think you're absolutely right. They're going to look at those details and magnify them and say, this is proof of what we've been talking about the whole time. And I think, when we talk about obstruction, there will be things that the president has done that are so weird and so uncharacteristic for the president of the United States because he is unlike any other president. So no one really knows how to quantify that or how to describe it. And is it illegal? I really think history is going to be the judge. I think we're too close to what has happened and what's going on.
I think you're right there, Kenny. I think the other thing that's going to be very interesting is that a lot of folks who testified, we're going to see some of this testimony, and a lot of these folks who have now left the White House, right, and they're part of their job requires them to have close proximity or close relations with their lobbyists, whether they are in advocacy groups. We're going to find out what they said about the president, and some of it's going to be very not nice things. And so,
and there are people who are quite worried who work in the White House who received those subpoenas. But 500 people were subpoenaed for this special counsel report. And
at least it's coming out, though. I'm glad that it's coming out because I want to see it because I paid for it. And I feel like if you pay for something, you should be allowed to read that thing.
I agree.
Well, and it'll be interesting to see how Democrats react to all of this because I think that there was this sense after the summary was released that they had gotten out of their skis a little bit when it came to the whole collusion issue. And there was some backtracking and some, there's been this sort of cover for the last couple of weeks, like we need to see the report, we need to see the report. And if we see just continued obstruction and subpoenas coming from Jerry Nadler's committee, I don't think that that's going to bear too well for swing state Democrats who are looking to hold on to their seats.
No, and Jerry Nadler has been tweeting about, he's so mad that there's a press conference before him, but it's not like there's a press conference 6 weeks before the report is going to be released. It's 90 minutes. He's going to have access to the full thing, just like the president's team. And so Nadler's committee and people in his caucus and people on his staff are doing the exact same thing that the president's attorneys are doing. They're separating it out to all the people sitting in the same room, and they're going to summarize different parts of the report.
It's also going to be interesting to see how Republicans react to it because there's going to be some things in this report that says that the White House made some mistakes.
I'll tell you how they're going to react. No collusion, no obstruction,
I think you're right. And I think that this is going to sort of paint a picture saying, are Republicans going to not call this president out for engaging in bad behavior?
What's going to happen tomorrow? The report's going to come out, and Hillary Clinton will be sworn in as the 45th president. And this entire thing will be nullified. All right, we're going to see the panel.